Hi, guys.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration, entertainment, and education to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym.
We got Mr. Timm Heimgartner on this episode, finally. Been really looking forward to this one. He is an NPC competitive classic physique athlete. Also works in the medical field, so he knows everything that happens in the human body.
Not everything, but close to everything. Blood vessels and heart stuff, but yeah.
Quite a bit, man.
Yeah.
I always learn something useful when I'm around you. But I met Timm 4 years ago at the gym, and I just saw this guy with the physique that I wanted because I was pretty new to bodybuilding at the time. I've been lifting, but I was just starting to get into bodybuilding, so I knew what it take to develop a good physique. And I saw this guy's shoulders and saw that he was balanced, and I was like, dude, that's what I want to look like. Yeah. So I just walked up to him and started asking him questions and talking to him, and we've been inspiring each other over the years because I started competing before he did, and so I think that overall I've definitely had more of a net learning of value that you've given to me versus vice versa. But hey, man, every time we get together, we had a great workout this morning, crushed some back and some shoulders and some triceps, and I always learn stuff from you. I respect the hell out of you, not just as an athlete, but also as a dad too.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're just somebody that's really been motivating me, and it's been a fun last couple of years. So I'm glad that we're finally able to make this happen.
Yeah, let's get down to some questions, and it's been great seeing Colt, mature into his new role as an entrepreneur and growing his company.
Yeah, and thank you for that purchase, by the way, of the Deltoid Desolator cable attachment. So.
We used it today.
Glad you like it. I think we used it for every exercise.
We did a lot with it. It's very versatile.
Yeah. All right, so why did you start working out, first of all? Because you didn't just even decide to compete until you already had a freaking awesome physique. So
yeah, I
started this.
My dad was a big time weightlifter. I never competed in bodybuilding, but my dad was always 6'4.5", 225. He was always jacked, and lifted 6-7 days a week. And at 14 he dragged me to the gym, and this is a gym back in my hometown, Lewiston, Idaho, which is your typical 80s gym, which is like a dungeon, with the raw iron.
Those are the best ones.
The low ceilings.
Yeah, the stuff that's welded together.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like it came off like Titanic. But that's where I learned to train. It was the owner was this guy named Anthony, and he was a bodybuilder, and he said even at a young age I had some potential genetics, but I just always maintained continually, even throughout high school and college. Lifting weights, and it's just one of the things that kind of clears my head. It's kind of therapy for me, and it wasn't until I really got in my 30s that my physique started to change. I don't know if it's due to hormones or what, but I was pretty slender, pretty lean, and a hard gainer. Really hard to gain weight in my 20s. I would take the heavy weight gainer supplements and eat a bunch of food, and I just wasn't putting on really much weight. So. I always tell young bodybuilders, wait till you're about in your 28, 31 range, and then see how your body responds, because that's when I see most people kind of blossom. Mm-hmm. And then I met you, and some other people. You definitely influenced me to jump on stage, and it wasn't until I was 37 that I actually pulled the trigger and said, what, I think I can do this. And I'm not really a shy guy. I do a lot of public speaking in front of physicians and presentations. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was more, I didn't want to look silly with the posing. I wanted to look fluid, and I always like to. Sorry
to cut you off too, but I noticed not just your bodybuilding trophies, but also you have trophies for what you do for a profession too. So I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
I guess that's kind of a synopsis of how I've gotten into bodybuilding, and I just turned 40 a couple weeks ago, and I plan on doing the Emerald Cup, which is a big show that I've done before here in Bellevue. I really found my home in classic physique. I started out in men's physique, which is the board shorts that cover your legs, and I've always been leg dominant. I've always had pretty big legs, and so people said, why don't you go do classic? And another one of those, I'm fearful of learning all the poses, and Colt was like, no, man, I got you. He's like, you got this. And I had a good coach too, Matt Pattison, who's a pro, who we did 9 straight weeks of posing every weekend, and got it down, and I actually enjoy it, man. It's actually fun. It's a lot more enjoyable than just doing front and back regular physique. But
it's the best part. Like I looked at you your first year of competing as a men's physique athlete, which you did a phenomenal job with. But I'm just like, man, like you just, not that you looked out of place, but it's like you could be so much better, and you could show your physique so much more.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you're doing yourself such a disservice. And so you do have the personality for men's physique, though. That's what you have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because when I did men's physique, they're all like, you're just trying to flex. Like, you need to be a bodybuilder. Like, get on the bodybuilding stage. But I mean, you certainly have the personality, and you hit the poses great. But it's like, man, like, you got the legs, you got the X frame. It's like, please do classic. It's just for me, if nothing else.
Yeah,
like, even if you're not going to step on stage, just put on classic shorts for me, and just send pictures to me so that I can just satisfy my curiosity.
Okay. I mean, the judges have told me, I have a really long torso and short femurs. So when you put on board shorts, it kind of makes my torso look longer than other competitors. So once I go in the classic trunks, I get more proportionate. You can see my legs, and my legs actually give me more of an X frame. That's what they say. But yeah, I found at home in classic. Maybe I'll do men's physique just for giggles, but I'm gonna put all my efforts into classic. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do classic too, when you do any division, my suggestion is always like, if you're already lean and if you're already stage ready, it's like, do 2 divisions. It'd be like going to a track meet and doing the high jump, but it's like, as long as you're doing the high jump, you might as well do other stuff just so you're not sitting around all day.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I didn't like about men's physique was that there's no weight limit. So you can have a guy that's your height but 230 and has a lot more muscle, whereas with classic you have to, according to your height, hit a certain weight limit. Like for me, it's 205. Mm-hmm. So I know the guys I'm competing against, are not going to be insanely more muscular than me. I mean, I've done men's physique shows where I was the most shredded guy on stage, but not the biggest, and I lost to the guy that's the biggest, and he was not even conditioned. So, there's a lot more variables, I think, in men's physique in the NPC level. You don't really know what the judges are looking for, if they're looking for mass or if they're looking for condition. Or with classic, you have to have conditioning and muscle structure, right? So, because there's a weight limit.
Right.
Yeah.
And posing.
And posing helps too, yeah.
What was the feeling that you got when you stepped on stage for the first time? Were you like, whoa, like, I'm here. Like, I'm standing basically in my underwear in front of a panel of judges. Like, what was that first feeling that you had?
Yeah, definitely a lot of anxiety. I mean, I did a smaller show before I did Emerald Cup as like a warm-up. Mm-hmm. And typical butterflies, am I going to hit my poses? Of course, it was men's physique, so it's just front and back, really on a transition. So that was really easy. I remember being thrilled about it. I remember like done with that show, and I placed way better than I thought I was gonna do. You
got bit by the bug.
Yeah, and then I was like, this is actually fun. The trophies are cool they give you, and it's even more satisfying when you're backstage and you're looking at the guys you're competing against, and you're like, yeah, I got them beat,
Yeah.
And or they're telling you how good you look, and you do have a little bit of body dysmorphia when it comes to competing, where you think you're not really at your peak shape, but people backstage are like, you look amazing, and so it kind of plays games with us in our heads, but as you probably are aware. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. So when you were prepping for your first show, did you have days where were you on track with your diet every single day, or did you have days where you fell off and just weren't able to do it and then got back on track?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I mean, if you ask Matt, my coach, he says I'm one of the most programmable athletes he has ever coached, just because I'm kind of a very regimented, structured guy. Tend to wake up at the same time, eat the same foods. Very scheduled throughout my course of my day. And so for me, during my prep, I don't ever really get cheat days. I get like a refeed day, maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks if I'm lucky. Mm-hmm. And that's usually, maybe a Subway sandwich or lots of sushi, but we're definitely never doing fries, burgers, pizza. That's just not in the protocol for what my coach has. And I'm okay I don't have much of a palate, for flavor wise, so I'm good with just white fish, chicken, rice, sweet potatoes, and egg whites, and just add some low calorie sauces in there to kind of keep things interesting and tasty. But yeah, my diet is pretty dumbed down. It's a question I get asked a lot. What do you eat? What's your diet like? And I don't tend to eat a lot of vegetables either. I know that certain people have sensitivity to vegetables. I'm super sensitive. Some of those root vegetables can cause a lot of gut inflammation and bloat. So if I do eat vegetables, it's like asparagus, green beans. Yep. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
How about you? Do you incorporate a lot of vegetables in your diet, Cole? I know you can incorporate a lot of meat.
He's being funny. Yeah, no, the less vegetables that I eat, just the better I feel, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, the only vegetables that I really ever eat is just like iceberg lettuce, just because I like to have just like a cold salad on a hot day. Sometimes it's like the only time that I really don't want a steak, and so having a salad is something that I enjoy, but it can't be green vegetables though. Like anything that has too many nutrients in it, I get inflamed. Anything that has too much fiber, I don't like how I feel. Even when I did I did a rapid backloading for my first show of 2019, and I consumed 1,000 grams of carbs in the form of sweet potatoes the night before the show, the night right before the show. Mm-hmm. So so that was Friday night. And I was still bloated with fiber on stage. So I was hard and I was tight. Yeah. But then my coach was like, all right, let's do your massive refeed on like the Wednesday before. Yeah. And so I actually purposely spilled over, and then you have time to clean up your carbs and everything and just stay full.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is there's been a lot of research lately by the food science community on plant toxicity and gut biome stuff, and there's a spectrum of, like say spinach and iceberg lettuce are the least inflammatory on your gut biome, and then you have like the raw broccoli, cauliflower, and beans too are very toxic too. Yeah, I mean, it's a plant's defense mechanism for us not to pick them and eat them is to make us feel kind of gassy, bloated, and uncomfortable. It's like their way of protecting themselves in nature.
Yeah. And it works. I'm like, okay, you win, plants.
Yeah, right. I know, exactly. Yeah. I don't know how vegan bodybuilders do it. I'm like, they must have gas all the time.
I know.
Super uncomfortable. But there are some vegan bodybuilders out there. God bless them.
Yeah, there are a couple of them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you get asked what your diet looks like, because I get asked what supplements I take. And that's annoying because I'm like, dude, your diet is 99% of it. Like, we shouldn't even be talking about supplements unless your training is in line and your sleep is in line and you have good relationships. Let's talk about your stress. Let's talk about what you're putting in your body, more so than just supplements. So,
yeah, I'm a firm believer supplements don't really add much advantage or edge to your, competitive wise. It's all about diet, discipline, doing your cardio. Is creatine going to make you stronger? Yeah. Is glutamine going to help you recover a little bit better? Yeah. But all the other stuff is just kind of what makes you feel good in the gym. Adding some BCAAs to your drink because they taste better, makes you drink more water, whatever. Or, pre-workout that gets you hyper focused and, hyper vigilant on your workout throughout the next hour. That's something that's not really adding performance enhancing, to your physique, but so typically I just stick with protein, creatine. I take a fat burner in contest prep, and
what fat burner do you take, if you don't mind?
I've taken the one from Blackstone Labs, Cobra. There's a one up there from Allmax called Rapid Cuts that my coach gave me.
What does it have, like carnitine in it?
Yeah, like yohimbine, carnitine. The typical stuff. They all kind of.
I take carnitine year round because I feel like I have more energy. I feel like I train fasted anyway, so I'm like, even if I'm at surplus, like that way, I feel like I'm burning some fat during my workout, and it's a placebo effect too. I mean, like I take it and I'm like, okay, I'm going to be on point with my diet the rest of it because I spent money on this. No, I'm not going to waste it.
Yeah, and no, there's been the latest buzz is injectable L-carnitine that you can order, and I've had some coaches that I know from the body shop that are like really into it. They're like, carnitine taken through orally isn't as readily bioabsorbed in your system as an injectable L-carnitine. So I've never gone that route yet because I think you have to do like 5 mLs a day or something, which is a lot of substance.
And if somebody sees you doing it too, you're like, okay, this isn't what it looks like.
yeah, but no, you should check into the research on injectable L-carnitine.
I'm just taking caps.
So anywhere you look in bodybuilding, you find some extremes of, people.
Bodybuilding itself is extreme, man.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sport. It's an art and it's a sport. I think that's why I love it so much too, because growing up playing hockey and being into music, it's like it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. It's, the only thing, it's a subjective sport. So judges are, you're at the mercy of what the judges think how you compare to the other competitors on stage. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, hey, but my team scored more points than your team, we won.
Yeah.
It's whatever the judge's eyes gravitated towards. And I know a lot of guys that came in the best condition for their show, but they just got overlooked and they got put to the end, and it's like, then you go look at the pictures and it's like, how'd you get fifth when you should have got second?
Yeah.
So, judges make mistakes and it's a subjective sport, but in the end, you got to appreciate the process of competing. And that's what keeps me coming back is, looking your best, feeling your best, and just, having fun with competing.
Mm-hmm. What advice would you have to somebody that's coming into their first show that really, really wants to win and has their heart set on winning, but in the back of your mind, you're like, I don't want to hurt their pride or take away from their motivation or anything, but like they might be on paper the leanest and have the most muscle mass, but like what if the judges, like you said, like either like they get overlooked or the judges prefer the aesthetics of somebody else or something, because there's so much left to opinion. It's like figure skating in a lot of ways.
A lot of ways, yeah, I like figure skating. I think you have to be all in. I think the judges are going to notice if you're, half-assed in your diet. You're not going to look as shredded. I mean, if you're going to decide to compete, and I did this, is I kind of put a lot of my friends on hold. And you've been through this before, where you kind of just hunker down in your own little bubble and head to the gym, do your cardio, get your meals in. It's kind of a lonely sport when you get to that point. And try to cancel out all the noise. You're not going to family barbecues and, trying to avoid those situations where you're forced with having like a cheat meal. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of amateurs are kind of like 1 foot in, seriously, 1 foot out. I kind of have a different approach. I'm like, if I'm going to spend all this money and make this commitment, because it costs money to compete in these shows, why would I not have all my eggs in one basket, So that's my one recommendation. And just trust the process. I mean, you've probably been through this before where, it's peak week, the week before your show, and you just feel like you're not where you should be, and you're checking the scale, which I don't recommend doing, but you're looking in the mirror and you're just not happy with what you see. And I would call and freak out and talk to my coach, and I'd be like, what do we need to do? Like up the cardio, what? And I'm not losing fat here, not losing fat there. And he'd always just say, like, trust the process. Like, we're going to work this through till Friday, and you're going to wake up Friday morning, and then show day Saturday, you're going to be bone dry. You're going to be peeled inside out, Tim. And he's been right most of the time, I've come in, sub 4% body fat and really lean, and where 3 or 4 days prior to that, I was like freaking out, I'm holding water, I felt like I was, becoming a woman by,
Yeah, Matt's had you dialed in for every single show, and from a coaching perspective too, it's like you don't know how that athlete's gonna react because everybody's genetics are so different. It's like some people you cut water and you do the exact same protocol, and you do the rapid backloading, or you do front loading, or you do whatever type of approach with the carb manipulation, and then some athletes it works great for, and you do the same thing for another athlete, and they can't handle it, or they spill over, or did you guys have to do a lot of experimenting leading up to the show and kind of practice peak weeks?
Yeah, and still we're still having to hit it as far as conditioning goes. I mean, I always seem to peak on like the following Monday after a show. It takes me a while to fill out. So like you said, it's a lot of trial and error at first with athletes, is figuring out how people's body responds to sodium and to carb intake and all that stuff. I've always felt like my best like Monday morning when I wake up, and I feel like I look my best.
Yeah.
So I think we could probably load even earlier in the week, but I mean, that's where a coach really comes in handy, is someone that's experienced with knowing, what's worked for other people. I mean, Matt's been great. I think our next show, we're probably going to carb me up like on Wednesday instead of like a Thursday. So it's good to have someone, another set of eyes and another set of intelligence behind the scenes that's working with your diet. And hitting that mark. Yeah.
Because what you said about the dysmorphia, like it's so real too. Like you look in the mirror and like what you see isn't even reality, because you have so many emotions going on. You're grilling through the roof, like you're freaking starving all the time. Especially that last couple weeks where you're getting every single last bit of body fat off that you possibly can. And so, yeah, you need a coach to look at you and go, you need to eat 6 ounces of sweet potatoes right now. It's like, that's something to where like you can't write that in a book. You can't write a protocol for that. Like, you just need somebody else to look at you and tell you that.
Yeah, no, it's like on show day, Matt's like, eat 3 rice cakes with jelly, and then, test my skin, see if I'm filling out. No, eat 3 more. He's like, keep feeding, so next thing I'm going through a whole bag of rice cakes. And
for you to max out your glycogen stores, if you're like 100% depleted, just of curiosity, if you don't mind sharing, how much grams of carbs does that take for you to completely fill out without spilling over?
I've never spilled over, but I would say it's probably like 700, 600, something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't like carbs. I don't like eating them. I'm kind of just a protein fat guy, but I'm kind of like more fearful of carbs and sodium, but I need to work on that. I've been told I can intake more sodium too, but sodium's also another important factor for filling out right. And I feel like a lot of coaches neglect sodium as an important ingredient. Yeah.
Yeah, my coach just always told me he's this is one part where he's kind of not really as typical as what most coaches do, but he basically just said, eat a lot of it and put it on everything, and always make sure you're getting it in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice, because then just one less thing that I have to worry about. But we do the water manipulation, everything, drinking 4 gallons of water the day before the show. You're literally just drinking and peeing all day. Like, it's a full-time job.
It's a job. It is. Yeah, you're right. It sucks, but it's what works, Yeah, it's what works. You got to trick the body into thinking it's always going to have that incoming water, and then shut the faucet off the night before, and then everything clears out like a lake running into a river. It dries up.
Yep.
And then
Then you start drinking whiskey. Did you drink any alcohol the day of the show?
This last show I did, because I drank alcohol before weigh-ins because I was overweight. So alcohol's a diuretic. Mm-hmm. And so when I weighed myself at home, I was like 206.6, and I need to be 205. So Matt's like, take some shots of vodka on the way, so that way when you get to the venue, you have to pee like a racehorse.
Yeah.
And so I did, and I ended up being still overweight, and I stepped on the scale, and I'm like, crap, I'm gonna have to move into bodybuilding because I'm over 205. And I was wearing my Apple Watch and my chain, which is kind of thick, and I took those 2 items off, and I hit 205 on the dial. So I hit 205, and I was good to go.
Yeah.
Just by taking off an Apple Watch and a chain.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just drinking alcohol relaxes you too, and so you think not just the fact that it's a natural diuretic, but you're more relaxed while you're on stage, and third of all, I think that it makes you feel like you're drinking something, and so your body's okay with letting more water go, because if your body realizes that it's not getting any water, it's going to hold on to water, which is why you can't cut water too early, right?
Yeah.
So that, and man, it's just this is not health. This is bodybuilding, So like when you step on stage and you're dehydrated, man, like alcohol is the last thing that your body really wants or needs, and so it doesn't take a lot for you to start really feeling happy.
That's so true.
Yeah. All right. So we've had a great talk about contest prep and everything. What about shoulder exercises? Could you just rattle off like a couple of your favorite shoulder exercises? 'Cause that's like, when I saw you, I was like, man, like this guy's Captain America. He's got the front, the side, the rears, everything. Just like, what are your go-tos?
So my go-tos for building my shoulders have really been Smith machine behind the neck presses. I love those. I think a lot of athletes neglect the rear delts. I think a lot of guys, they have good front delt development because they do a lot of chest pressing and bench pressing, which naturally builds up your front delts.
Yeah.
I feel like to really stand out to judges is, hitting those lateral and rear delts. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's heavy reverse or heavy behind the head presses.
Oh, you go heavy behind the neck, huh?
I try to go as heavy as I can. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
I'll try to grow these babies, boulder shoulders they call them, and then I also do standing overhead, presses as well. So I'll do like in the squat rack. Try to put that. Those you can't go as heavy, but you're having to use a little bit of leg force to push it up. But
it's like a push press.
Yeah, like a push press, but standing. So I've done those for a number of years, and I love Arnold presses, of course, upright rows.
Yeah, we hit the Arnold presses today.
Yeah, I mean, I only train shoulders probably once every 7 to 10 days, because it's my strongest. Yeah, it's my strongest body part. So, as you know, I lack in chest and I lack in biceps. So I try to put more emphasis on the body parts that I'm not as good at, right? Mm-hmm. And then shoulders, I just, I don't really need to train them that often to keep them full and keep them looking around, So yeah, I feel like my shoulders take over a lot of the work where my pecs would probably take some work. So yeah, chest is my weak spot, and my hamstrings and biceps. So that's the off-season plan, is to build those up.
I'm not playing a violin for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, last question. Where do you want to go with bodybuilding? Like, do you want to be an IFBB pro? Is this just something that you're gonna keep doing, just a show here and there, or like how far do you want to go with it?
Yeah, I think I get asked this question a lot, and even some people that are unfamiliar with bodybuilding are like, is there any money in it? And it's like, no, there's no money. No. Even if you turn pro, there really is no money. Like, you'll get some free supplements and a clothes sponsorship, but I mean, some of these shows, the open men's bodybuilder wins like $5 or $6 grand. I have no desire to turn pro. I have a really good professional job, and I'm happy with it. This is just a hobby for me. It's a way to continue being healthy into my late 30s and early 40s. I feel like so many American guys let their bodies go. After 28 or 30, they get married and they get the quote unquote dad bod. And I never wanted to have the dad bod. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be that guy that's 40 that still has abs. Mm-hmm. And so that's my only real goal, is just to kind of keep persisting with my diet, with my training, do maybe a show here or there. And I can now do the Masters 40 category, so where I'm not competing against the younger guys who are more conditioned, I'm competing against guys my own age. And that might be fun, just to kind of see how I stack up against other men my age.
Yeah, I'd be okay with not competing against you if we were on stage together. If it was you against me, I would have to be a master poser, and I would just have to outpose you.
You pretty much are a master poser, so I think you'd have me beat.
I am a master poser. There's guys that I've beat that have flat out been better than me, but the judges can only judge what they can see.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's in how you present it.
Exactly. Yep. How you present it, and if you look confident on stage too, it really helps.
Yeah.
Making sure you look like you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so last question for you, sir, is a superset is how you do one exercise and then you do a different exercise, and if they're opposite body parts, it's amazing how you do a set of bench and you do a set of chin-ups, and you get better at both of them going back and forth instead of just doing like straight sets or something.
Yeah, it actually speeds up your workout.
Exactly. You get it done in half the time. You get your cardio built into it. So like when I see people just doing straight sets, I'm like why are you not working something else in between?
Yeah.
Like unless you're working out with a buddy. Like we did some straight sets today, but that's just because we haven't seen each other in forever, and so we're catching up. But the gym makes you better. I've found has made me better in other areas of life, whether it's your relationships, your profession, and you've already touched on this a little bit. But just to summarize, how has your bodybuilding and your love for going to the gym to reduce stress made you better at your professional job and made you a better dad? Yeah,
it's for me, it's just being in that structured routine of like waking up at 5:30 every day, doing my fasted cardio, checking my emails while I'm doing my cardio, doing a little bit of work, mm-hmm. like fitting in fitness into your daily schedule. I think that's where a lot of people fall off here, is they're not consistent, they can't stay consistent. the people that come in New Year's Day or the day after New Year's and are like, working out for 1 month and then they give it up. It has to be a lifestyle. And for me, it is my lifestyle. Like fitness is my lifestyle. I work out 6 days a week. If I'm prep, I work out every day of the week. And just try to maintain that. And it helps me kind of focus more on my job. I feel a lot healthier, a lot more clear-headed. Mm-hmm. And, that's important for what I do because I work with physicians. And so I got to be kind of on the spot and act somewhat intelligent or speak somewhat intelligently. So that's how I answer that question. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. It's been an absolute pleasure. We got to do this again after your next show.
This was fun. And it's great seeing Cole, even though he moved away. He still comes up and visits, and we can squeeze in workouts like today. And use some cool new tools like the Skullbellz rope that I like a lot.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. Coming out with straight barbells next, and dumbbells will be probably early 22. And next work order is curl bars and straight bars. So I'm stopping at Tacoma on the way home and picking up as much steel as my truck will allow
before the axle gives out.
Just got all the silicone rubber for the new skulls too. So lots of work, but it's exciting.
I look forward to seeing it. And seeing your business grow. So good luck with that.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us on this episode. If you found this helpful or entertaining, we ask if you would please share this with a friend. We also would love to hear what you think of our show, so any ratings or reviews are very much appreciated. We have a new episode every Saturday morning, so please subscribe so you don't miss them. Thank you again, and God bless.